Welcome back to Mad Lizard RC. Excuse me. So we are on part part three, I believe it is. So some of the parts I have got already right here, as you can kind of see. So some of it is the mounting hardware on the back. Some of it is, mostly is all the hardware in back. Some smaller knickknacks as here's the cable right here. I end up cutting it down to size. Steering linkage arm, trim tabs, battery tray, rudder, Speedmaster rudder, the motor mount tray from here. A few miscellaneous things. I'm still missing the servo mount. I still got to get the servo mount. I still got to get the motor, and then also got to do the speed control. The speed control, is definitely going to be a Castle XAS. And then the motor, I know it's going to be a 10-shock motor, but then I might throw a Leopard motor in there just for the time being, for building's sake, until finally, later, and then I'll probably switch over to a 10-shock motor. But for now, this is going to be, assembly of, like, if anyone's building a mono, that they might find this a little helpful. So, just kind of a little bit about it. I got the order in today. As you can see, my order for at least this stuff here was $203, and then of course the haul to have that, purchase was like 240, I think it was, plus or minus right around there. So we're, a little over 400 into it so far. By the time, I get the speed control, the motor and stuff like that, slowly does add up. But, that's part of the hobby. It's not really about the money. It's about, just having fun. And sharing it with a lot of people. So that's the idea. So anyway, so now it's in the boat. So as you can see, I got it flipped over right now, and then I masked the whole backside over here. This is the strut. It's a Speedmaster strut that runs a 0.187 cable, 3/16 cable that will be running this boat. So get them installed right here. So the easiest way, I think I've covered it on other videos, is this is how I do it. There's many other ways of doing it. And but this is, to me, and you can modify it or however it kind of works. But, I figured out what the dead rise is. So it's a 26 degree. And then, depending on what this rise is, then, quarter, 3/8 to 1/2 inch. And then you can go over a little bit to compensate if there's a torque roll, you can come back, re-drill it if need be. So and that one's kind of hard to kind of factor out what the hull is going to do. So, but the higher you mount it, the more of this hull is going to ride just right here. The lower you're going to go, the lower the hull is going to ride and sink the back end. So depending on what this rise is, to me depends on how far up and down. So being a 26, this is over what I say, anything under 25 and under degree. It's about a quarter of an inch where your center line to drill, or anything more than I feel it's more to like a 3/8, and then even more, and especially if like the side of the hull goes down even further and makes it kind of a tall one, then you definitely want to go higher even that. Now when you go really far down, you run into problems of only certain propellers, because what you're doing is putting behind the transom, and that propeller won't be able to, that water won't flow cleanly to that propeller. Have problems getting up on plane and stuff like that. So, I've always kind of went to that quarter to 3/8 rule, and only once on a 1/2 inch. But most time those two work just fine. Anyway, so let's get started. So, I got it all taped up. I have marked it. So, my strut's going to go there. I have marked for 3/8. After I do this, then it'll be, doing the rudder from here. So best thing to do is, I found is, taping this, nice, drill bit, and then come in as, best as possible. Now, some people say, going reverse. I'm going to mark this one more time because it is hard to kind of get a good reference point off this guy. So I want to make sure, what they say, always measure twice before cutting. So right now is I'm positive on my marks. So here we are. Some people, drill through tape. Some people, you know, reverse. I'll kind of go back and forth a little bit, trying to clean the hole a bit, and kind of take my time out drilling, not really go fast, because and we're through. So taking my time, not going fast, because of, you know, if you try to rush it, push hard, or dull bit, you can easily damage a lot of the gel coat, and I'm trying to avoid that. So now we got our hole drilled. You should get it about close. Again, you know, if it's not perfect, it's okay. It's not going to really be the end of the world. You can always fix it, make the hole bigger, get it to where you need to be. But, you know, this is a start. So now this stinger here is made for a 1/4 inch tube. So I found a tube I was going to use for a mock-up. And I had it at one time. Oh, isn't this funny? Okay, isn't that fun? Don't you hate that when you have everything you think you got and then somehow it's just not there? So, grab another piece. That looks about right. If not, I know that one is too. Okay, so this is just a mock-up what it's gonna be. We'll just put that guy there. So yeah, 1/4 inch tube. See if this one's a little better. Yeah, okay. All right, so 1/4 inch tube. So we're gonna just slide this in as a mock-up. Again, this tube here is just going in as a mock-up, you know, and all it's just gonna do is help center and just help center the strut for install. That's it. Is she tight? That's probably what she said too. A little love tap, don't you know it? I know. Telling you, that is what she said. Just joking. Alright, so now, you know, we're on there. We are mocked up. You can see where I got a center line here. And so now I can line up in my upper hole to the center line. And then, you know, drill my upper one, drill my 2 side ones, and get this guy set to what this, you know, and get it set to the hole. And get that taken care of. And then for the rudder, you know, just, you know, we'll come to that one a little bit next. So, but the rudder, a lot of times I kind of do a certain type of rule that I found that so far has been working for my builds. You guys can do it, or you do something different. But, you know, I do what's known as a 2-2 rule. So basically my rudder is center 2 inches from center line of boat over 2 inches. And then 2 inches lower than what the propeller is going to be. So when mounted, you know, it's going to be right here, center line, and then, you know, however up and down, basically 2 inches lower than what the prop is. So a 2-2 rule. I did that in my last mono. You know, it's been, you know, the thing turns on a dime, no problems. Left and right is no problems. You know, it keeps it from being fully set out to where, you know, left is hard, but, you know, enough to the right, you know, so where left is still you know, good behavior and so forth. So, you know, I'm going to get to, you know, drilling that, mocking that. All right, so we're back. So as you can see, it's all been installed already. You know, I got the 2 holes, bolts, you know, lined up here, drilled that one in there. Now we're all nice and installed there. So now the strut is done. So figure we can kind of move on, and then let's do the rudder. So this guy is a Speedmaster short dual rudder. It's got the 2 pickups, you know, 2 pickups on the rudder. It's a straight square blade, you know, 2 pickups on that side right there. You know, the 2 outlets, kind of like normal. You know, I've been using these style of rudders for a really long time. I've been, you know, I like them. You know, you can get replacement blades pretty simple. And they're a little pricey, but made by Speedmaster, which, you know, they do make some good products. And, you know, when, you know, I want a boat to last, that I can, you know, and not without too many problems or anything like that, you know, spending a couple extra dollars for some really good, nice hardware, you know, is, you know, well worth it to me. Now, you can do some other hardware that's cheaper and be more of a budget build. You know, by all means, you know, you do you. So, installing the rudder, the best practice, as the 2-2 rule kind of explained just shortly before, and then, you know, the 2 inches down. Now, depending on how much room you have here, you know, will depend on your rudder, how much you can move up and down, placement side to side, and so forth. So depending placement, you know, it might come down to where taking a saw, cutting the bottom, you know, of the rudder, which on these ones I have quite a bit of room. So, you know, I also, I'm not sure if you can see, I have made a mark on my table right here. You know, the 2 marks represents my 2 inches lower, and, you know, I'm going to go with, you know, 2 inches lower than the bottom of the boat. And then I think that's, if I remember correctly, because usually, you know, yeah, 2 inches below the center line, but, you know, this is a little bit higher. So I'm just going to go 2 inches below the hull. So, you know, I made my mark on the table right there. Best thing I'm going to do is kind of, you know, line it up to my line. You know, with the Speedmaster, you know, you can see the mark there for a centering line. So I'm just going to hold it, center it, you know, get it to about my mark as best as possible, hold it. It takes a little bit of fidgeting. About right there. So another tool for building, which is nice, is one of these center drilling tools. So I found this at a local hobby shop made by Dubro. So it's got a tiny little drill bit that, with a little bit of pressure, and they're spring loaded, that, you know, this tip will center the hole and then drill. And so I'll use it to mark it like this, and then come back with the drill bit and then drill out the hole. And then once I get the first, you know, screw on there, then I will get everything all straightened out and dealt with. And then from here, with doing the inside, you know, I'll drill the hole, bend the linkage appropriately, you know, add my trim tabs and stuff. So anyway, so I'm going to stop yakking and do this. So basically, this is what's nice. You know, I'm just going to insert that, push against it, go back and forth with the drill bit a couple times, making a mark. See, as you can see, made a mark there and there. Then now I can take my drill right where my mark is. And at least get my first screw in there. So what I like to do is at least get one hole drilled, get it as, you know, spot on, close, you know, close enough from my house type of deal. You know, I tell my people at work all the time, you know, doing work is like, if it looks good at my house 20 miles away, you know, it's perfect. The old timer taught me that trick. Or the worst one is, you know, the wife's gone, is if you don't want to do a job, just fuck it up horribly, and you don't have to worry about doing it ever again. Just joking. Not suggested. So we're gonna get one of these screws put on for now. Get it nice and tight so it sets where we kind of want to be. Then we can manipulate it. I want to get it a little bit more tighter. So that way when I do the next one, I can get into shape. So now, and then on the bottom, you know, right there, there's another marking, so I can flip up and stand down. Get it kind of in line where I want to be. And then check it. So right here, this has got like a shoebox design where the top fits over the bottom and it's been glued together. So, you know, rulers actually works pretty good for, you know, checking the straightness on a lot of stuff. Because the straighter you can get this guy, the better it's going to perform. If it's off-centered a little bit, you know, can cause a little bit of a lift in the tail because of how that blade is turning in the water. So the closer the better. Again, you know, I'm not perfect, and, you know, not perfect builder at all or anything like that. I don't, you know, it's just, it's, you know, just, it's a hobby building a boat, and there's no stress getting, you know, 100% active, 100% into it and getting perfection going. Because sometimes in the end, it, you know, it can be hard. So now, you know, I got that guy marked there. Maybe my edge is there. My edge looks a little off. And this is where you kind of have to play with it and try to figure out your edge a little bit. Yeah, maybe that looks about right, because on my top line, I'm not exactly square to that line. So I'm a little bit now off that way, which then puts me about right there. Yeah, about right, yeah, where my original hole was. I don't know, see, that's what happens when you start just overthinking it. So here, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these two screws out. Mount those off. Then when we get around to doing the trim tabs, I actually have a good trick to actually getting the trim tabs into place on the hull and for drilling, because, you know, last thing you want is the hulls, you know, you don't want the trim tabs being flush to the bottom, you want them slightly up. You know, what I was trying to capture was like doing the trim tabs a trick and using like popsicle sticks, and you can glue them together and use the thickness of a popsicle stick to set your trim tabs. So basically one underneath, so you can hold it and tape it. Then the upper one, you can set your trim tab to the top of that height, and then, you know, mark everything for drilling. So that way it's almost a guarantee, you know, height, you know, slightly more than that edge. But, you know, it's a trick I found that seems to work. So, you know, I'm going to finish this guy up, get this on there, drilled out and hardware. And then I think that'll be it for this. A couple tips are for mounting the stinger and to the rudder. You know, this is how I do it. Now there is, you know, different methods as well. You know, by all means, you know, mounting, there's other ways of doing it, but this is personally how I do it on mounting the hardware. And then, you know, there'll be another part coming out for the trim tabs, and, you know, as, you know, this build goes. Anyway, so please, you know, like and subscribe. It helps me going. It, you know, shows appreciation to the channel. You know, it helps me bring out more stuff, more content, and keep going. And then also, you know, please come check out, you know, Mad Lizard products. That's also supports me continuing on. And then I can also post some, you know, links in the description on some of the parts and everything I used. Anyways, well, thanks for watching Mad Lizard RC.